Hey guys, it's Shane from Now That I'm Older. I hope you're liking everything you're hearing on the Rogan's Hell Podcast Network. If you are, go to roganshell.com/Amazon for all your shopping needs. It's not going to cost you anything extra, it's not going to look any different, but every time you use that link, you're going to be helping out the Rogan's Hell Podcast Network. So bookmark roganshell.com/Amazon every time you need to buy something from Amazon. Thanks a lot.
Stick around, get to the chopper, and let off some steam, because this is the powerful Nerdcast. Hello, my friends, I'm Corey, and joined with me is Christian. Welcome to episode 51!
Hello, Internet! I'm glad to be back. I was never gone, but it's good to be here.
Yeah.
You know, it always feels like way too much time passes between these podcasts.
It's true, but that's also because now we've been going on like a kind of a bi-weekly basis for these things.
All because of it's necessary, guys.
Yeah.
Not because we don't want to do these, but goddamn, adulting is hard.
It is.
It is a lot.
Seems like the older you get, I always used to, make fun of my parents. Is that, you're going to get older, time's going to go out the window, your back's going to start hurting. I'm like, I'm going to be young forever. I am invincible. That is not the case.
Literally, I woke up this morning and my back hurt.
Yeah.
Literally, I woke up this morning and I had no time to do everything I had to do. And I found like a gray hair the other day.
Oh, no.
But not on my head, on my balls.
Oh, okay.
Because my body has decided, instead of keeping my ball hair colorful.
Okay. Well, I mean, for the most part, only two people are going to see that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, my boyfriend and my girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean, that fits with today's social justice warrior ways. That's all good.
That's right. Don't make fun of me or you're a bigot.
Yeah. Have you ever woken up one of those mornings where, like, your back hurts so much that, like, you can't, like, bend?
I had to literally... I have no training with yoga. Like, I've never actually been to a real yoga class except when we were in spring break circa 1996. Or not 96, 2006.
God, I wish it were 96.
Yeah.
The soundtrack would have been better.
And we did it drunkly on the beach because our hotel was offering free yoga. But... I have watched the P90X yoga videos, which are very helpful. And so I know like the basic moves, I know squatting dog and right facing warrior and all sorts of things.
Right facing warrior?
I don't know. I'm making all this shit up. And namaste.
If you can't do it, just relax in child's pose.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen Sarah Marshall, so that's like my knowledge.
But anyway, I did a whole bunch of yoga stretches this morning because my girlfriend had a yoga mat out. And I was like, I'm going to fucking... There's a yoga mat, so I guess I do yoga on the yoga mat. And I did it. And it helped stretch my back a little bit. But, man, I did yoga, and I pounded 4 aspirin.
Yeah, 4? Jeez, wow.
I was like,
recommended dosage is 2, I believe.
For infants. For bitches. But I ain't no bitch, so I took 4.
No?
And it helped. It helped a lot, man.
Well, that's good.
God, I hope no one figures out I do this on the internet. No one adult life can find these.
Someone eventually is going to find out.
Can't run for president. Not going to be able to make America great again, Corey.
No. I imagine Trump wakes up every morning with these type of back problems every single day. He's an old man. Like I said, my back
boner for greatness.
Yeah, let's go with the boner for greatness. I don't know if they need to put that as a campaign slogan,
then,
but
like,
who knows? With the things that he's been doing, it might work.
Eagle perches upon his cock.
He ain't Stephen Colbert. All right. Only he can pull off that like weird eagle bullshit. But anyway.
And then they're going to sell pistachios.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm reminded of that stupid commercial. In any case, let's get away from all this old man stuff.
Let's make America great.
Because it's just reminding me that every day that I'm just wasting away and my back is just getting worse every day.
And soon you'll die.
Yeah.
And no one will know you.
But we have some cool things to talk about today. A little bit of some social justice warrior stuff going on in the gaming community, as well as this whole Batman versus Superman thing. You've probably heard of it.
Yep. Saw the movie. Have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't just rush out and then just like spew out our thoughts.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff influencing us. The internet was very colorful about that topic.
I've let like my viewing experience of that movie sort of marinate over the course of like the last week, and
now it's thick like syrup on pancakes.
Basically, yeah. My initial reaction walking out of that theater was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as critics said, but at the same time, it wasn't great either. I give it like a solid 7. But after like thinking about it for a week and really just looking at all the plot points, I think it's down to like a 6 for me.
I still think it's a solid 7. The things that bring it down is the storytelling is just done very badly.
Yeah.
But the character of Superman and the character of Batman, I think, were good.
Really? You thought Superman was a good portrayal of that character?
I thought the Superman was definitely the weakest.
The robotic, emotionless Superman.
He was sad Superman, okay?
Because that's what everybody wants to fucking see, is a sad Superman.
Sad Superman. And
Christopher Reeve is turning over in his grave right now.
Well, he was paralyzed, so he's not moving too much in there.
Ooh.
Anyway, the point is that I thought that Superman wasn't the worst part. Mostly Doomsday was the worst part. Mm-hmm. Superman is a man. Well, he's not really a man. He's an alien that looks like a man.
Yeah.
That talks like a man. That walks like
but
a man.
Super alien just doesn't sound as catchy.
Super alien man does not sound.
Super humanoid alien man
that looks like you and me. And so I like Superman, and I like Superman probably more than Batman. But Batman is cooler. I understand that he's cooler, and I'm not debating that. And Batman was cooler in this movie, but Superman just has a soft spot in my heart. So I like Superman.
Yeah.
Because he's the most badass. He's the uncool American Goku, but damn it, he's still Goku in America. So
in many ways, yeah, I can definitely see that.
So
parallel.
Anyway, I'm getting off track.
But was he like that in the movie?
No.
No.
He did save some Mexican people from a rocket ship.
Good for him.
I'm combining ways.
Did you see like his reaction during that scene? Like when he saved all these people, was he even smiling?
He was kind of like Dr. Manhattan and Superman combined.
And that makes sense because this was directed by Zack Snyder, who also worked on Watchmen.
Wow, that does make sense.
God, man, you just blew my mind. He turned Superman into Dr. Manhattan.
He did.
They're basically the same. Within the confines of that movie and that universe,
yes,
Superman is just like Dr. Manhattan. He's this all-powerful being who can basically just do whatever he wants, but he feels obligated to help mankind, but at the same time, he doesn't know if he should. His mom says, "You don't owe the world a damn thing," which is very different from the old Martha Kent that I've seen in many other interpretations, who basically tailors Clark into becoming a hero. And that was really my biggest problem. And since we're so on track with this, let's just go character basis. Let's just focus on Superman right now. Superman is supposed to stand for like hope and justice and the good in people. And throughout the entire movie, he's trying to decide if he's even good or not. And it's just so depressing the entire movie. Watch that. And the only thing that ever seems to give him even like a glimpse of happiness is getting to fuck Amy Adams. Like, that's about it. And you know what? Amy Adams was the worst part of this movie, but we'll wait for Lois until the very end. You know, for me, she's bottom of the barrel.
Okay, so here's the thing. Do you remember, have you ever seen the movie, what's this actress's name?
Diane Lane?
Yeah, the one that plays Superman's mom.
Yeah.
I always remember the sex scenes from Unfaithful. So she may play a mom, but damn it, those were the hottest fucking things.
I can't say that I've seen Unfaithful.
Oh, it's hot.
Is she unfaithful?
She's unfaithful.
Oh, I bet she is.
With a hot Italian young boxing male, and she sort of betrays her husband, who's this guy, Richard Gere. Richard Gere. He also had a gerbil up his ass.
Shit, man, I'd fuck Richard Gere.
Gerbil got there first. But the point is that ever since then, so now that she's like some old lady and they made her not look as nice anymore, and, you know, she's aged, you know, I was like, I've seen Superman's mom fuck.
I mean, but yeah, but I mean, it's like, that's what they do with these movies, that usually they have a lot of new people come in. You know, Henry Cavill, who played Superman, he's relatively new. Ben Affleck is basically a veteran at this point, but they always have some like classical trained actors coming into these superhero movies to sort of like use them as a pedestal to hold up the movie a little bit. You know, look at the Amazing Spider-Man movie. You had freaking not Kathy Bates. That would be funny if she was playing Aunt May. But you had Forrest Gump's mom.
Yes.
Whose name is just escaped, Sally Field.
Yes.
Who played Aunt May in that movie. You had Martin Sheen, another just classic actor. And they always get these old guys to come in and do that. And they usually don't do much with them. And same thing, she has like one scene in the movie, I think, or two, which is where she's talking to Clark and she's like, "You don't owe the world a damn thing. You don't need to do anything." And while watching that scene out inside, I'm just like, no, that is not what you're supposed to be saying to your son. The fucking hero of the world. You're putting him down the wrong path. And then there's a scene later in the movie where Superman, and this scene might be the most random scene of the movie for me personally. all of a sudden, Clark's just walking around in the mountains with regular clothes, and then he runs into frickin' his Waterworld dad just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. And they just have a random conversation about what's good, what's bad, what should you do.
Well,
we spent a whole fucking previous movie going through this, and now we're having some weird hallucination scene where he's talking with his dead father in the middle of nowhere.
Here's why that doesn't bother me, because the first movie has... It's a loophole. I'm stretching it, but his Krypton dad, who's played by the Gladiator,
Russell Crowe, who's nowhere in this movie.
Well, he was killed off because he got his computer program got erased. Yeah. But
I liked Marlon Brando better. But keep going.
They took that concept and applied it to the movie now, which is fine. But the technology is now gone that made that happen. Like the personality computer chips, is gone now. Yeah. So for them to do it is kind of a stretch. But yet they're like, oh, we did it last movie, so just do it again. But I like the moral compass, but also I think Superman should be past that. Isn't he supposed to? He
should be way fucking past it at this point.
And I think it was interesting that he chose to bother. He actually didn't want to fight Batman. He didn't like Batman.
Yeah.
But he wasn't, and he even tried to stop Batman, but he wasn't going to go try to kill Batman. He wasn't going to really bother.
I mean, if he wanted to, he could have killed Batman.
At any point, he could fucking say, "Oh, I can't." Let's say him and Batman got in a fight and it didn't work. He could just at any point say, "Well, I'll just erase this whole city then."
Exactly.
And just go, boom.
What's to stop him from just grabbing Batman and just tossing him into space? You know,
or ripping him apart.
Exactly. Like he has so many methods.
Yeah, lasers through the eyeballs that he could beam lasers into your eyes to reflect off your retinas to erase your whole brain.
Yeah. That's a big problem, man. Superman's powers in the movie are like so wishy-washy. I mean, obviously the flying is there, the super strength is there, the eye lasers.
They're more of a plasma.
They're more of a plasma. What the fuck? You sound like one of those dudes at Comic-Con who is in a panel and walks up. So how did you guys pull off the plasma effect? And the guy, I don't care, man. I just don't care.
Well, that's why Batman can get away from not Deathstroke. What the hell is the other bad guy? Death Machine?
Death Machine. Deathlock.
I'm just fucking
Deadpool.
throwing death.
You're talking about Darkseid.
Not Darkseid. That's the next villain. That's the Thanos.
In DC. Yeah, the Thanos of the DC universe.
Anyway, the point is the bad guy that got created by Lex Luthor has eye lasers too. But you know how like he shoots him at Batman and Batman sees him coming and then gets out of the way and then they hit the building and melt the building? It's because they're not lasers. They're like a superheated plasma. You need to understand. His eye things are plasma. They're not, because if they were lasers, they would just instantly be there at the speed of light, and you'd be dead.
Yeah, true.
There's difference there, so they're not. They're just they're wrongly categorized. Yeah. I'm sorry I had to get on the plasma high horse there for a second.
No, it's cool. It's just adding more to the convoluted powers of Superman, especially his power of being able to hear people from long distances, which played a role. Select people, especially if it's just fucking Lois.
Yeah. So
going back to Superman for a second, like my biggest problem with the character is like he doesn't know like what his purpose is aside from just wrecking shit. Like, and one of the biggest problems people had with the first Man of Steel movie was that at the end of the film, him and Zod end up having this huge battle, which just presumably kills thousands of people.
They never said it, but it was very clear at the beginning of this movie that happened.
I mean, you look at the damage that was caused.
It was
like
9/11.
There are people who are not getting out.
It was 9/11 by 1,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, people are not going to be able to run away from all of that stuff. There was even that one scene which I thought was really ham-fisted with that one guy who was in the office, and then he starts like praying as the building around him is like crumbling, and then he dies in there and everything. It's just like you're taking the mistakes of the last movie that everyone hated, and now you're throwing them in our face again.
Why was that a mistake? I'm confused.
I mean, you could say that Zack Snyder's addressing the fact that, yes, Superman killed people in the last movie inadvertently because he was trying to fight against Zod, but, like, nothing got fixed from it. Like,
well, he stopped Zod.
I mean, you could say that, yeah, people are reacting to Superman like, oh, he destroyed things and then most everybody loves him. If that happened in real life, no one would love Superman.
And they
despite
only had
how many people he
one
saved.
Dude that didn't like Superman, the suicide bomber wheelchair guy. They only had one dude that didn't like Superman. You'd think that there would be hundreds of families affected that hated Superman.
There should have been way more people.
Hundreds of families that were like, fuck Superman because my family died during that. I don't care he stopped a supervillain. He was associated with the death of my family members. And because that's real life. In real life, you don't make everyone happy, okay? Even if you don't end up accidentally killing people to save someone, hell, even if you make a YouTube video, you can't make everyone happy.
I mean, who the hell approved of that big, stupid Superman statue in the middle of the city?
And he's like flexing.
Yeah, it's like, this guy like murdered half of the people.
He was associated with the murder of millions of people, thousands of people.
But again, I mean, that's another one of the big problems with these movies is these heroes just, they indiscriminately kill people.
In this one, Batman fucking murders people with machine guns in this.
All the damn time. Some of them are dream sequences, to be fair, but there are scenes in this movie where he is just blowing fuckers away.
And Batman was laying bitches. He woke up from that nightmare, and there was a woman in his bed. They never
addressed that.
I'm like, does Batman just get puss on the side? No one says anything?
I, like, never see that in any of the comics or anything. They're just like, fuck it. Maybe that was just Ben Affleck literally waking up from, like, a long night. Who knows? And they're like, fuck it, put it in the movie. We're never going to address this woman again.
Yeah. Does Batman just use his billionaire status to fuck bitches? Like, in the other one, I mean,
he's a man. He's got needs, man.
In the Nolanverse, Batman or Bruce Wayne would go out with women so he looked like a playboy philanthropist.
But he never, like, followed through that we know of.
No, he just
in my mind, I'd like to imagine Bruce is kind of like a player, and maybe he did go home and wrangle him a three-way. I don't know.
I mean,
with the drunk bitches swimming in the fountain.
Yeah, Tony Stark.
I'm buying this hotel.
Yeah, it's just the way it worked. So there were things about Batman that were strange, but also I found them to be a realistic take on what a Batman would probably be. So I didn't mind them. And also at the same time, I don't really mind the Superman struggling all that much, because if there was a super powerful being that was raised as a human and looked like humans and wanted to be part of humanity, they would struggle with the fact that I can't even walk down the street until I might accidentally kill someone if I sneeze. He's just like, he's always walking on eggshells, you know? He even says it when he's facing Lex Luthor. He's like, I'm going to bring you in and not break you, but I probably could on accident if I wanted to, you know? And then Lex Luthor makes him his bitch, and he's like, why don't you just listen for your mom's heartbeat? Can't you just hear that if you concentrated? You know?
Seriously. I mean, we could say he does this in the comics as much as you want, but this is a movie adaptation.
Yeah.
So there are going to be some differences. I mean, in the comic, he can hear people, like, across galaxies. And stuff. Like, it's no problem for him. And considering how fast and powerful he is, that scene where his mother gets kidnapped by Lex Luthor, which is a terrible plot point, by the way, he could bust into that building, take out all those guys in, like, a split second, and even stop the dude with the flamethrower from killing his mom. Like, in an instant, it would be zero problem for him. It'd be even easier for him, for Batman, because he has X-ray vision. Maybe in this universe. I'm not sure. Does he have X-ray vision?
Never been used, if it exists.
Which also got me thinking. I was like, man, you should have been able to figure out, like, who Batman was, like, instantly.
Well, he knew who Batman was because he saw Bruce Wayne using that ear.
Again, going back to the whole
hearing everything. On accident, he picked that one up.
Yeah, as long as it's important to the plot, he can hear it.
Yeah, but if it's important that he be weak and vulnerable, then he stops using powers.
Yeah.
It's sort of strange. Okay, Superman's the most flawed character besides...
well, I wouldn't say he's the most flawed, but he's a character that I was really disappointed in because it didn't feel like Superman to me. It was just too depressing and serious of a character. It should have been truth, justice in the American way.
But America's changed a lot since then, so I understand why they get away with the America...
America has not changed that much. What's changed is the comic book movie landscape, and we can blame that on movies like The Dark Knight, which is dark and brooding as shit. Within the confines of that movie, it works because it's a solo Batman film set in Gotham City. Ever since that movie came out, every single superhero movie, for the most part, wants to be dark and depressing and be played serious.
Except some of the Marvel stuff.
Except for some of the Marvel movies. And there's a reason why those movies are more successful. Because they cater more to the comic book fans, and they don't always try to be super dark and depressing.
They actually like to have fun.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool. I mean, like...
Age of Ultron is like the darkest Avengers film ever.
But it's also got some of the greatest humor in it. Like,
yes.
The scene... My favorite part of that movie is not the action scenes. My favorite part of Age of Ultron is when they're all hanging out trying to lift Thor's hammer. Seeing the characters be normal and have fun.
My favorite part is like when Hawkeye is like, yeah, there are a bunch of robots out there, and I got a bow and arrow. Fuck it. Let's just do this. If you go out there, you're an Avenger now. Like, that's one of my favorite lines.
That scene exemplifies what it means to be a superhero movie. He's like, none of this makes any sense.
Yeah. I'm fighting robots with a bow and arrow.
And they tried to bring a small amount of that sense and dark, depressing dourness to Batman versus Superman.
They didn't bring a touch of it. They smeared it on.
That movie was sucking its own dick the whole time. Like, it insisted upon itself so damn much. Just as a Batman movie, I think it's actually pretty decent. It's a Superman movie.
It was a Batman movie. It was not a Superman movie.
And you know what? It wasn't even a Batman Superman movie. They might as well have just titled it "Pre-order your Justice League movie tickets now, bitches. We got you by the balls."
Or at least we thought we did.
They don't have Doomsday by the balls because Doomsday apparently does not have balls or a dong in the movie.
I mean, he's a lab-created creature. Why are you so obsessed with his scrotum?
I shouldn't be. Yeah. But I am completely obsessed with Doomsday's cock because while watching that scene, I was just like, I should be thinking, oh man, Doomsday is about to fight Superman in a live-action movie. I've been waiting to see this since I was like 8 years old. This is going to blow my mind. And all I could think of is, I've never seen Doomsday without pants before, and he just has no dick.
But
it's completely smoothed over.
But he was created by two male creatures, Zod and Luthor.
He's like a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything.
Maybe those were his pants. Maybe he had like skin pants.
Skin pants. Okay.
Skin-colored pants.
All right. Let's get back to Batman for a second. So
pants.
We can agree that Superman definitely one of the more flawed parts of the movie.
I'm a fanboy though, so I like Superman. I'm sorry. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying I like Superman.
I mean, Henry Cavill, do you think he did a pretty decent job?
I think he's one of the best modern Supermans out there. The last Superman sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I still like, what was the last Superman movie? Man of Steel?
Mm-hmm.
Liked it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I liked it. And I think he's a good Superman.
Okay.
And I hope he stays around.
I think he's a decent Superman. He has a lot to grow into, but then again, spoiler alert, by the end of the movie, he's dead. So.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, I know.
See, it didn't make an impression on me.
It should, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter, though, because we'll get to that when we get to Doomsday. Let's get to Batman again. Batman is, for me personally, the highlight of the movie. Like, he really made me get into this movie. Every scene that involved Bruce Wayne or Batman or Alfred or the Batcave, that amazing Batmobile sequence, and let's not forget the scene towards the end of the film where he goes into that warehouse and just annihilates all of those goons and saves Superman's mother. That scene for me is the best action scene from any DC movie that I've seen thus far, and it was way more entertaining watching Batman just, beat up some lowlifes as opposed to watching him fight against Superman, which basically just amounted to a lot of punching through walls.
And it was short.
Yeah, it's like... Well, here's the thing. Going into it, I didn't read too many reviews, and the ones that I did look at were spoiler-free. Almost every review I read said there's 2 fights between Batman and Superman. Bullshit, there's 1 fight between them. The first thing, if you want to call it a fight, is just Batman running his Batmobile right into Superman, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That is not a fight. If that's a fight, that's a fucking massacre. I guess you could give Superman that win.
Yeah.
And then Batman wins the next one. The thing is, though, I didn't consider that a fight whatsoever.
Also, Batman doesn't win against everyone if he's unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
Batman usually always wins against dudes when he's prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you surprise Batman, you can beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a Captain America Batman fight. If like Captain America got a jump on Batman, he'd probably kick his ass. But if Batman knew he was coming, he'd kick his ass.
Yeah.
So it's like both. Like, that's not really a fair fight. If it's a fair fight, Batman wins against a lot of people, And also, what do you think of the only thing I thought that was flawed about Batman was his training montage. Something you don't usually see, but I didn't think it was necessary.
It wasn't necessary. We know Batman's awesome. We know he's capable of kicking ass.
Did you know he does CrossFit?
Did you know that for being a super rich guy, you'd think he'd have all this equipment? No, he's just got a fucking tire that he pulls with a fucking rope. Was that like
I
training?
got ripped to play this character and I'm getting my shirt off in this movie.
That's all they needed it for, man. Like, I don't need to see Batman's training. Batman's training is implied. We know he's fucking awesome, especially in a movie universe where apparently he's existed for 20 years.
Yes.
Which I want to see all the stuff that happened during his career as Batman. Like, I want to see all the villains that he encountered. Like, when they finally do this like solo Ben Affleck Batman movie, is it going to take place after this, or are they going to do like a whole prequel thing?
We're going to get some more Affleck.
Yeah.
Just think of the Geico. Affleck. we're gonna get some more of that in the Suicide Squad movie coming up. So I'm kind of excited to see that.
Yeah, but maybe like 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be 5 minutes.
You know, it's a glorified cameo.
But there's more there. I'm okay with a solo Batman movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm more okay with that than anything with this Superman in it.
I mean, get some more before Affleck gets old. You know, get some more in there. You know,
and I mean, he's already up there, but I mean, he did a pretty good interpretation of this Batman, which is clearly...
And everyone shit on him. Mm-hmm. Everyone... Do you remember?
Dude, the initial reaction when he was announced as Batman was just... Everybody was flipping their shit. Nobody was happy. I was blindly optimistic just because, one, you never know until you see it on the screen. But everybody was burned because they were all reminded of Daredevil.
Yes.
Which,
sucks.
that second season kicks ass, dude.
Yeah, well, the Netflix series, great. Solo film with Ben Affleck as Daredevil, not so good. Mm-hmm. So, Elektra, way better in Netflix series. Mm-hmm. Again. God,
The Punisher, freaking...
Way better.
God, let's save that for after Batman versus Superman. Before we get to that, have you, like, finished that season?
No.
Okay,
I have
actually.
Oh, I heard the ending is epic.
I like power watched through all of it. Yeah, the ending is great. Some of the fight scenes are great. The Punisher has some scenes. There's this prison scene.
Whoa, shut the fuck up right now. I didn't even know that existed.
Okay, it's just like, that scene alone, you're just like, man, that's more hardcore than any DC movie or Marvel movie that's come out like ever. And it makes the CW superhero shows just look like PG movies by comparison.
It was
bloody as fuck.
Daredevil is not a superhero in the sense that is super strong.
Yeah.
He just has super senses.
Yeah.
So he can anticipate things much better than an average human being. Yeah. So as a natural born athlete who has super senses, he has a big advantage. Mm-hmm. But he could never, like, I don't think Daredevil could beat Batman.
That is tough, man. They're so similar.
They're kind of the same person.
Senses. Boy, that's weird too. With Ben Affleck playing both of them too, it's even stranger.
That would be funny. Are they in different universes though?
Oh yeah, they're Marvel DC.
Oh, they're Marvel DC. Yeah, okay, that'll never happen then.
Yeah, that's MCU stuff.
Yeah, but the point is that Daredevil's not a super powered dude. He's just a really good fighter.
Yeah, he's a martial artist.
Yeah, that happens to have super senses. Mm-hmm. He's like a martial artist with Spider-Man mixed together.
Basically, yeah. He's like constant spider sense going on.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but at the same time, the Punisher is really the same thing, just a hardcore dude.
Yeah, the Punisher is very much that. He's just a dude who's really fucking pissed off.
Yes,
and he's not afraid to fuck people up.
No, or kill people.
He's the type of like, he doesn't even hesitate. Like, he'll just gone. Doesn't even think about it. Like, he's such an interesting character for the MCU. But we are getting way off track. Let's go back to Batman for a second. What was your favorite Batman scene from the movie?
The fight scene where he jumps in the thing and, he kicks all the bad dudes' asses. And I like that he got hurt during that fight. He got stabbed.
Yeah, they showed a little bit of invulnerability for the character, which I do think is important because Batman is, like, scary and awesome and cool. But that made him seem a little more human during that scene. But yeah, that scene right there is definitely my favorite from the movie, period, and my favorite Batman scene. A lot of people compare it to the Arkham games because, he was fighting like all those people at once.
Yes,
dodging,
it seemed very
blocking.
much like that fight system in the Arkham games. Mm-hmm. It seems very much like just it felt like a scene from the video game. Like there was a cutscene that was photorealistic.
But it didn't look like a video game because it was all real people fighting.
Yes.
Which is what made it really good.
Yes.
Batman versus Superman, you're like, oh, okay, I can tell this is CG with them flying up and plowing through the buildings and everything.
Superman flying through the smoke and standing there,
While it looks cool, and that totally reminds me of something I'd see in an anime series, it is fake looking.
It does look fake.
When Ben Affleck is in there and, cashing checks and crushing necks, like, it looks real. It looks painful. And he uses more than just, random punching, and the camera was still a lot so you could see everything. I really appreciated that. Power bombs, using his grappling hook to pick up boxes, throwing them into people, taking a dude's knife and jamming it into his shoulder blade. That one punch he did to that one guy that just sends his face flying into the floor, and he was pissed off, and I loved how everybody was trying to attack him in different ways, like he was trying to get stabbed. That one dude shot him in the back of the head like 3 times.
But it didn't work because, his helmet's bulletproof.
Exactly. Even though when he takes it off in the Batcave, it looks flimsy as shit and doesn't look like it should be able to defend against any type of gun. But you forget that shit. It is a comic book movie, after all. You have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief.
You have to. Mm-hmm. I mean, or else you're like, well, it's not really real. Because if, like, a guy was fighting 7 dudes, they could just all jump on him at once and kick his ass. Which is true. In real life, that's the problem.
I mean, if they all just pointed their guns in one direction and unloaded on him, he probably wouldn't be getting up.
No. And that's just the way it is.
But it wouldn't make for a very fun action scene.
No.
It'll make for a great opening to RoboCop from the 80s, but it won't work for this movie at all.
It would.
And then, of course, the build-up to that scene where he's going to the warehouse, where he's in the, I guess they're just going to call it the Bat Plane. I don't know if they gave it a specific name. It always has, like, a different name. He just, like, blows all these dudes away that are in these cars, like, with his missiles and guns that are on the plane, and, like, doesn't even regard the fact that he just murdered all of these people. There's a couple scenes earlier in the film with the Batmobile where he takes this tow cable and attaches it to this other car, which is just... has a couple of people in it, by the way, and it's just being constantly dragged across the ground and getting crushed, and then he actually uses that to, like, bounce it off a wall and smash another car with another car. He had to kill, like, at least 4 people right there.
Especially when he was chasing after the kryptonite. Mm-hmm. You know, he just starts shooting at that car with a machine gun and blowing everything up.
Exactly.
Like, those aren't not lethal bullets, dude. Yeah. You know?
And even if he's not killing them directly, he's killing them inadvertently, because in this movie... for some reason, Batman brands people that he captures that he turns over to the police. Like, he literally has, like, a hot brand that he gets him in the shoulder blade with, and it leaves, like, a bat imprint mark on them. And according to this news report, which to me makes no fucking sense, whenever these prisoners go to prison and they see that they have that symbol, it's like a death sentence for them. They get, like, killed or shanked or beaten up by the other people in the prison. Batman is sending these people to be killed. Like, he's reached this point in his career where he's just like, fuck it, I can't do any better. There's this god in the other fucking city across the street that's way more powerful and cooler than I am. Fuck it, I'm just going to start killing people. That scene where he kills the guy with the flamethrower, that's an interesting scene because, one, he straight up just kills a guy. We can't deny that.
Yes.
But it's also a scene that is taken directly from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, which is an incredibly famous comic book, which... arguably is the reason this movie exists. Like, any scene with Batman and Superman together was taken from that, where he's wearing the armor. That was taken from the book as well. Lines of dialogue lifted directly from that. Not the best ones either. But that scene where he pulls out, like, that big gun and bursts through the wall, same scene happened in the comic book. The difference was, in the comic book, he shoots bullets around the guy, which causes him to freak out. He doesn't just blow his ass up. So, yeah. But that scene was cool because it led to one of the few funny moments of the movie, where when after taking this guy out, he saves Superman's mother, and he says, I'm one of your son's friends, and she replies, I could tell.
Because of the cape?
Because of the cape.
Yeah.
And the costume. I was like, why isn't there more of this? There needs to be more of this in this movie. It's just way too fucking depressing the entire time.
Well, that's why they're reshooting Suicide Squad. They're like, fuck, we got to add more humor. You got Will Smith in there. Why isn't that movie kind of funny already?
I mean,
Welcome to Earth.
What?
You know, like, what's wrong?
I mean, you got all those villains, too, who are like, you got, like, Harley Quinn, who's going to have, like, a dark sense of humor. You have
humor,
villains
though. Humor.
Yeah.
Dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
So there better be humor in the movie.
I think it's going to be... I could tell just from the trailers for that movie, it's going to be way more of a laugh riot than anything from Batman versus Superman.
Man, if they're worried about shoving more jokes in there, that kind of freaks me out. Mm-hmm. Like, what's the problem, guys?
I don't know. I mean, Warner Brothers right now, they don't want to fully accept the fact that the critics have just been reaming this movie, and even the fan base
I saw that article.
Sort of coming back at them a bit, and they're just like, we might think about changing stuff, but we're not. Not going to do that.
We've invested a lot of money in this, guys.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And I mean, they're making their money back. I mean, domestically, I think it's already pulled in over $700 million, which is pretty damn impressive for a domestic release.
That didn't get good reviews. Because everyone's like, I heard it wasn't good, but I'm going to see it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we were. You know, before we went and saw it, we saw all those reviews. We were joking all the way up to seeing the movies. Like, we're about to watch a movie that sucks. Like, we kind of knew what we were getting into. Another thing about Batman, I just want to say, which a lot of people have said as well, I don't give a shit about his origin anymore. And I hate that almost every single movie, it dominates the storyline.
Batman's origin?
Yeah. If I see his motherfucking mom's pearls break on the streets of Gotham in a live-action movie, it'll be way too soon.
I feel like him and Spider-Man's origin are done.
I know, I'm so fucking past it.
With
That's why I'm really glad in the upcoming Civil War movie, they're just going to kind of disregard Spider-Man's origin altogether. In his upcoming solo movie, they're also going to skip right past it to where he is a hero initially. Great decision. But, yeah, just, the whole, just the way the movie opened, because it does open with Batman's origins. Like, that's the first thing you see. Like, as the credits are rolling, they go through the whole his parents getting killed thing, the whole funeral of his parents, him discovering the Batcave, and everything was fine until the bat started lifting him in midair.
I was like, oh, guys, what the fuck?
Get out of your own asses and stop trying to make this bullshit artsy crap.
Yeah.
I'm glad they at least mentioned that it was a dream. Because the casual viewer might go into that thinking, so what's the deal? Does Batman have, like...
Bat powers?
Bat powers? Like, is that how this works? Like, that's going to confuse certain people if they didn't.
Speaking of confusing scenes, the Flash coming back through time to talk to Batman during coming out of a dream sequence, so you don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
I'm like, even I, knowing as much as I know, was like, was that the Flash? I don't really know what just happened.
And the average moviegoer is just going to be like, what the fuck?
I'm an advanced fan. I don't say I'm the top 1% fan, but I definitely am above an average fan of Batman. So I was like, what the fuck is happening here? You know? Why are you shoehorning in all these people?
What did you think of those dream sequences with Batman?
The one where he's in the desert world where
where Darkseid
has the big Omega symbol in it and everything. That was cool.
Yeah, and the parademons came in, which just out of fucking nowhere.
Why not?
You know,
no zombies though. I wanted some zombie apocalypse.
I think
too.
Zack Snyder just, he wanted an excuse to see Superman kill people with his eye lasers,
which was cool.
Don't get me wrong, like that was awesome, but just. It just that whole dream sequence was just the whole time while I was watching it. It just felt like a next movie, guys. Next movie's coming out. I hope you're excited for the next movie. They did that with a scene later too, where they showed off all of the new Justice League characters like Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman and Wonder Woman and there's one more that I just can't seem to remember. But like that whole scene where Wonder Woman is like looking through those files and everything, like that just seemed so shoehorned in. That's the type of scene you use for a post-credit scene. You don't put it directly in the middle of your movie because really it did nothing for the plot at all. I mean, they reference it like kind of once at the end of the movie where Batman's like, we need to form a team. There's villains that are coming and we need to prepare for the sequels. Like, just it felt shoehorned. Like that was the biggest thing with this movie too, is that it had no damn focus at all. The first hour, for the most part, for me was painful to watch.
Yeah,
like just all over the damn place. Mostly the scenes which involved Lois Lane, but we've already talked about Superman. We've already talked about Batman, which we can agree that Batman is definitely the reason to check out the film. What about Wonder Woman?
I thought she was minimalistic, but good.
Yeah,
that's like literally all I can say about her.
I think she was, of the two heroes, I think Batman was cooler, but I think Wonder Woman was done the best. There was one scene in particular towards the end when they're all finally teaming up together and they're fighting against Doomsday, where Wonder Woman is going solo against Doomsday, and she's just getting knocked around, and even as she gets knocked down on the ground, she has a huge smirk on her face, like, oh, really? That's what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, she's getting into the fight and stuff, and it's like, why are we not getting any of that from Superman? Why is she the only one exuding any sort of personality whatsoever? And don't get me wrong, I love that. I even love the fact that she used her sword, her shield, her freaking golden lasso.
She used it.
I loved that. I'm like, they're not going to use it, are they? And then boom, the next scene, she's tying up Doomsday with it. I'm like, oh, yes, that looks so cool too. But yeah, Wonder Woman was minimalistic. She was barely in the movie at all and basically just served there to be, again, another excuse for more sequels in the future.
Yeah, I think she did well. I have no problem with them developing her story. You know what they did? They used her a little bit. They said, hey, there's probably going to be more coming because we know there's a Wonder Woman movie being made. And then she did some action and then got out of there.
Yep.
And much less than I could say about like Aquaman and Cyborg and everyone else.
You didn't like the Aquaman cameo where he stared at the camera for an awkward 7 seconds and then just exploded away?
I thought his hair woofing in the water was perfect. They must have CGI'd the shit out of that to look so good.
I mean, can't you wait for the solo Aquaman movie?
It's not that I don't like Aquaman.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't do it right. They just sort of hinted at a whole bunch of things, and then they were like, hope you care about that in a few years, because it's coming. And that's
My ability to talk with fish is of no help, Wonder Woman.
Well, he does have super strength and a whole bunch of other shit.
I mean, he basically is underwater Superman.
Yeah.
Underwater, he's the shit.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sure he's pretty powerful out of water, too. Like, I wouldn't want to fuck with Aquaman.
He's a super...
Yeah.
He has super strength and super speed. You know? Not as fast as Superman or the Flash, but I mean, he'd probably fuck up Batman in the right circumstances.
I'd imagine as such, yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting. And who else? There was Cyborg.
Yeah, there was Cyborg.
The Flash.
There was the Flash. And this other one that just always escapes me for some reason. I can't seem to remember.
Aquaman and...
I mean, clearly...
That's it?
There were more. I know there was at least one more that for some odd reason I just cannot remember. But yeah, there was Aquaman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Cyborg. I'm pretty sure that's all the... I don't know. Maybe I am missing one. But yeah, all that stuff was fine. Wonder Woman was barely in the movie at all, but she served her purpose. She had a really great action scene. Her introduction in particular, maybe the most exciting part of the movie next to Batman beating up the goons, like when she made her first initial appearance, the guitar solo kicks in, she's there, she's all badass, ready to just tear it up. That was great. So we got our heroes, which are all, you know, good and bad, and then we got our villains. So we got Lex Luthor. What do you think of Lex Luthor?
Why do you want me to fucking comment on this guy, Corey? Like, fuck. Like, like he was a millennial CEO, Facebook inventing weirdo.
I like it. I like bringing people together.
Yeah. I don't have any comment on this. I don't even want to discuss.
You don't even give a shit about Lex Luthor.
I didn't care about him by the end of it.
No.
Didn't care.
You didn't like the fact that he goes to a prison where they just shave your head for no reason, just have an excuse to have a bald Lex Luthor in a movie?
Nope.
No.
I thought that his weirdo ending too, when he's like he's coming, was stupid. I thought that.
I mean, how does Lex Luthor know about Darkseid?
Well, there was a scene that was cut where there's a gigantic.
I've seen that scene.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Why is there a big robot centaur thing telling him what's going? Why are there floating cubes?
It looks like something that works for fucking Thanos. Like, I don't even know what that thing was. There's a good reason it was cut from the film entirely. Lex Luthor didn't bother me as much as, say, Superman did, though. Like, some of the hamminess from Jesse Eisenberg I thought was actually pretty decent.
I never felt he was evil once.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, I understand that. Yeah, it seems like he was just sort of... It's just because he was hamming it up so much. Yeah. You know, he went full Batman Forever on it a little bit.
Yeah.
He even fed Jolly Ranchers to a dude, like, personally. Like, that scene was just like, oh my god, they're really doing this. But I did like how manipulative he was, like how he sort of like went behind the scenes and is sort of responsible for everything happening. Like the whole subplot with him killing the senator, I thought that was more interesting than half of the shit going on in the movie.
Even that, like, I was like, what happened to the senator? I was like, oh yeah, she died in that explosion. Yeah. You know, like it didn't even make an impact on me.
The last thing she saw was a jar of piss.
That's true.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You'd think that when Superman walked into that room...
What was her motivation? She hated Superman because someone died or something? Like, I don't really remember anything about her except that she was cool with what he was doing and Lex Luthor was doing to try to kill Superman.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't too happy with Superman, but she didn't want him dead either. She wanted him to answer for what he's done.
Yeah.
You know, to be responsible for it. But she also knows that Superman is something that could be important to the Earth. But at the same time, you got Lex Luthor, who hates Superman for what reason exactly? I don't know, because he hates him in the comics. That's why.
I think he just wanted to make Superman his bitch to make him do things for him.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Guess.
He's a control freak.
To me, that doesn't seem like something Lex Luthor would do personally in the comics. But then again, he also had his crazy plan where he was going to take all of the Kryptonian technology, combine that with the dead body of Zod to create his own personal warrior, which... Really, what was the point of that plan? Because he was creating Doomsday before, like, even all that other crazy shit was going down. Like, what would have happened if Doomsday would have just... Like, what would have happened if, say, Superman did kill Batman and maybe they killed each other? Like, what was Doomsday going to do? Like, what was his purpose?
Just to rule over Earth with Luthor's
How was he going to control Doomsday? I mean, the minute he released him, Doomsday tried to kill Lex Luthor and then Superman blocked the punch.
Yeah.
So, like, really, what was the point of Doomsday? It was just an excuse to have something for everybody to fight, really, at the end of the day.
They need...
And Doomsday, just...
One-note villain.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that complex in the comics either, you know? He's basically just a brute, but his entire backstory is remarkably interesting, and I don't know why they can get Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman to look so much like their comic book counterparts, and they won't go all in on Doomsday. Like, he still looked like a big fucking cave troll to me throughout the entire movie. Like, there were a few instances where he started to, like, I think after getting hit with a fucking nuke...
like, evolve?
Yeah, he starts ripping his skin off, and you see all these, like, crags and bones coming out of his body, which make him look a little more like traditional Doomsday. But it still didn't look enough like the character, and that really disappointed me a lot. And the fact that the only reason Doomsday was even in this movie is so they could use the plot point of killing Superman. Because, I mean, what does Doomsday do other than just beat the shit out of people? He kills Superman. That's all he's known for. Period. And he does. He ends up killing Superman at the end of the movie through the use of some weird convoluted plot involving a Kryptonian spear, which for some odd reason Lois Lane decides to throw into some water, and even without being told about it or even knowing that fucking Doomsday is a half Kryptonian creature, she decides to go after it anyway. Let's talk about Lois Lane. Lois Lane is, for me personally, the worst part of the damn movie. Every single time that she was on screen, I sighed a little. I was like, fuck, I just don't care. Why does Superman have to be so defined by Lois Lane? Why does she have to be in this movie with all of these amazing characters? I don't give a shit about her, and I'm still irked that there's a redhead playing Lois Lane. That bothers me. It's not a big deal, but it bothers me.
Why?
Because she's a raven-haired beauty. That is why. That is exactly the reason. And I just don't like Lois Lane. Her whole subplot of trying to figure out everything that's going on, going to the desert and doing all that other bullshit, trying to investigate all this stuff about Lex Luthor. I didn't care. And a lot of her scenes just went on and on and on. And especially at the end of the movie, the whole thing with the spear, that bugged the fuck out of me.
Really?
Yeah. Like, why did she even take the spear and throw it in the water? Probably because she wanted it to get away from Superman, right?
Yeah, she realized that
but how did she know to go back for it? Nobody went up to her and told her, hey, Doomsday's half Kryptonian, we need that spear. No. Nobody told her.
No one did.
And she went after it anyway.
Well, she saw, she was part of the movie viewing experience and sort of saw through the bullshit. Yeah.
I call it a script that fucked up.
Yeah.
Simply put. And they needed an excuse to get Superman out of that battle for a couple of seconds. How are you going to get Superman out of anything? Lois Lane. Because she drags him all over the fucking planet.
Yep.
Yeah.
She is if he was a dog, she'd be his owner.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you know that meme, the picture of the super obsessive girlfriend?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You guys can't see this because this is audio only. But that's exactly who Lois Lane is in this movie.
Yeah.
She is that character, the super obsessive girlfriend.
Yeah. It's weird. Did you know they had these costumes for the new Super Street Fighter for...
I did. The Macho Man Randy Savage Zangief.
Yeah, fucking that's awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
That's right out of left field.
I know, it's completely... it makes no sense of what we're saying. But yeah, if it isn't clear enough, we're mostly on the same boat that Batman vs. Superman is a pretty average film.
It's not as bad as people say, though. I will not go down the shit on this movie
train. I don't think it's like out of 10. I don't think it's like below a 5.
No.
There are still things in the movie I like.
I think the storytelling was shitty, but I don't think the characters were all that bad. And I think that's the problem. You have to disassociate the storytelling with the characters because Batman was done well, Wonder Woman was done well, Superman's subjective, and Lois Lane sucks, Lex Luthor sucks, and the storytelling is all over the fucking place. But it's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The Room, that's a bad movie.
But I'd rather watch The Room than Batman versus Superman.
I'd watch The Room if there were no sex scenes, if they edited out all those.
That's true. Those sex scenes not only suck, but they're not sexy, and they go on for way too long.
Is that a left field?
We're talking like 8-minute sex scenes.
That are weird.
Yeah. And they don't make any sense, either. There's a scene where he's, going missionary, but he's, fucking her stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not know how to choreograph a sex scene at all. At all in that movie.
Woo!
So yeah, Batman versus Superman, if you just love these characters and you have to see it, go see it in theaters. Support this movie. Let Warner Brothers know that we want some successful DC movies in the future. But if you're just a casual fan and you don't know if you want to see it or not, wait till it comes out on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, however the hell you watch your movies nowadays. And watch it that way. Otherwise, save it for the hardcore fans. I'm still a very strong 6 out of 10. I almost want to give it a 5. Just because the more I think and talk about it, I get a little angry. And that's a huge problem. But it's still the best live-action interpretation of Batman that I've ever seen. But still not perfect.
You know what the best Lego interpretation is? The Lego interpretation of Batman. God, that trailer was good.
That trailer was better than the whole movie.
I know.
Like, I could rewatch that trailer so many more times than rewatching that entire movie. I have a lot more hope for that one, which, you know, the first Lego movie, I was like, all right, yeah, that was fun. That was a lot better than it had any right to be. But I didn't expect there to be a sequel, much less one that revolved entirely around Batman and the other DC characters, which is very strange, and it's got to be the most incredible marketing that I've ever seen. I mean, those movies are effectively an hour-and-a-half commercial.
Oh, yeah.
But the story and the writing and the voice acting is so good that you don't even think about that.
Well, they're a commercial. I just say, is the Bugs Life a commercial for Bugs Life action figures, or is it its own world, you know, that they happen to create that's good, you know? I mean, you know, the Legos are built.
Legos are a toy, though. Like, they inherently they began as a toy.
Yes, I understand, but I think that the Lego movies have gone beyond just a marketing piece in and of themselves. Like that stupid song, "Everything Is Awesome," it was like huge for a while. Mm-hmm. It wasn't "Let It Go" big, but it was a big song.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, for a while. Mm-hmm. And I have never seen the Lego movie.
You haven't? I recommend it.
Yeah.
It's actually worth watching.
That's what I'm saying.
There's enough references and surprisingly funny humor, and the animation is the best part. To me, it reminds me of a PG Robot Chicken.
Okay.
Which makes sense, too, because the Lego Batman movie is being directed by a guy who's worked on, like, over 30 different Robot Chicken episodes. So it really has that feel. And it's CG, but they make it look like it's
Legos.
They
don't have to make it photorealistic.
Well, they make it look stop motion.
Yeah.
Like it has that effect to it, and it doesn't look CG-like. It looks like actual Lego pieces, which, damn, I can only imagine the work they have to do on that.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it might even be more harder than, like, a traditional CGI animated movie.
Yeah,
like
because
Zootopia or something.
It's like rules. Mm-hmm. There are, like, a lot of animation movement rules kind of inherently built into it, you know? So, yeah. I don't know. I liked the Lego Batman movie trailer more than I liked the movie, too. I was like, whoa, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Now this movie's kind of a letdown.
Yeah. It went from being, like, really fun, like, oh, I like that. And then it's just like, oh, my God, it's instantly super depressing as shit.
So we're more than 50 minutes into this, and we haven't really talked about anything else.
Yeah. How long where are we at?
50 some odd minutes, 51 minutes.
50 some odd minutes. All right, well, here, let's go ahead and talk about one more thing.
Okay.
Something that I think has been pretty funny. I know you're a pretty avid gamer. You have your PS4. You played a lot of big games like Fallout, Metal Gear, and even the new Far Cry Primal game.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a big fan of Blizzard games as well. I know you've logged in many an hour of World of Warcraft when it came out a couple years ago.
I stole 4 months of my life.
I know you've played some StarCraft.
Way too much.
What do you think of this brand new Overwatch game?
I have not seen much of it to even tell you.
You need to check it out, dude. It's really great. It's basically Team Fortress on drugs.
Okay.
Like, it's just an even more crazier version of that with more classes, and every class is even more distinct than the last. And it has kind of like this superhero Pixar vibe to it, which I think is one of the most unique things about it. But it's also a game that has created a lot of controversy in the last couple of weeks, and this is something that's been brewing over in a lot of games lately, which is the over-sexualization of certain characters.
Oh, this is that butt shot.
This is the butt shot. There's a character in the game whose name is Tracer, and Tracer's character is sort of like this happy-go-lucky, spunky British girl who has these powers to like go forward and backward in time a very small amount, and that actually reflects in the gameplay as well. It's really fucking awesome.
The world, though.
Zawarudo! Which somehow Dio infiltrated this podcast.
Yeah.
But basically in the game...
It's me, Dio.
Kono Dio-da! All right, we've got to get back on track here. So in the game, when you play as these characters and your team wins, you get to see your character, they level up, they show you the stats, and then they do a little victory pose. And one of the default victory poses in the game for almost every single character, not just Tracer, is an over-the-shoulder view where she's from behind, she looks over her shoulder and looks at you. And she just so happens to be wearing these incredibly skin-tight pants.
She just got back from yoga class.
Yeah, which shows off her butt, which... You know, makes sense. Humans have asses.
Yes.
They all seem to have the same shape and everything. And a lot of the other characters in the game have the same exact pose, male and female. But for some odd reason, people just flipped out that Tracer's ass was so defined in this pose. And there were people who were been playing the beta, and they went on the forums, and basically they said that this was over-sexualizing the character and taking her from being a fun, spunky character into basically turning her into a simple sex object. And I don't want to say that Blizzard caved. They claimed that they made the decision themselves. Like, in retrospect, this isn't the type of pose that she would probably use, so we are going to change it. And they did change it. But you know what? They didn't change barely anything. Her new pose is called the Strut Pose, which is basically from the side, one leg up, one leg down, and you can still see all sorts of booty. It's all there. It's still practically the same, and everybody seems to be okay with it. I don't really see the difference with it, and I never had a problem with the pose either. Maybe it's because I'm more mature about that stuff. Like, when I looked at it, I didn't think, like, oh man, look at that ass, oh shit! Like, I was just like, oh, that's cool. There we go. End of the story. You know, I don't know if this is just because it's a resurgence of social justice warriors, or if it's just a lot of younger people who are social justice warriors who've been raised this way. I don't know. I think if a developer wants to make their character a certain way, they should be able to do it, and they shouldn't cave to all of this bullshit.
I don't know why people are scared of sexualization of female characters. You know, I don't get it. Like, I really don't. I see why they think it lessens female characters, but I feel like this is a case of a vocal minority that dominated a thing because most people didn't care.
Yeah.
And when you don't care, you don't get involved. You're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you said, meh, whatever.
She has a butt. Women have butts. I got a butt.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
So, well, it's less simple than that, Corey. You know, this is a sexual move. This is like a look at my ass sort of thing. I get it.
But there are male characters doing the same exact pose, and you can see clearly defined cheeks.
Yes. Are there male characters doing the same thing?
There are male characters doing the same pose. There is another character in the game who is female doing the same pose, but because she's inherently a sexy type of character, it's okay. The main thing was they thought that she shouldn't be portrayed this way because of her personality and everything. But why can't she be sexy? Why can't she be like a cute, hot type of character and still be awesome and badass all at the same time? I mean, I'm a male. I mean, I have no problem with saying, you know, like that's an attractive looking chick. But at the same time, she can also be really cool and really interesting and really deep. And Tracer is arguably like the poster child for this game. She is all over the promotional material. You go to any convention right now, if there are Overwatch cosplayers, 90% of them are going to be Tracer. Like, she's incredibly popular. She has a lot of catchphrases and everything. And I don't know. I have a feeling that just there was too much of an outcry about this, and it's starting to bleed into all sorts of other games. Like, there's so much like, you can't do anything now. You can't seem to appease anyone, and nobody even bats an eye if there's like a male character wearing just a loincloth or something. You know, like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a double standard.
I agree, but at the same time, I understand why people want female characters that are strong, a lead, but not sexualized.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But she's also wearing skin-tight pants, and the idea that they have her pose like that is not that ridiculous. But maybe we're old school. Maybe because we see that's the way it's always been, it should just remain the same. And some people think it should be different. I get that, but damn it, we're not putting fat chicks in the front of our games, okay? We're putting hot, athletic chicks in the game. So
but they can if they want to.
They could, but it's not a fat chick. That's not a softball player, okay? It's not.
Man, you just offended so many people, including one of my cousins, but keep going.
You get what I mean, though.
Yeah.
What do I mean, Corey?
I'm not saying that.
The point is, they put a hot, tall, long-legged, sexy chick in there. So, whatever. I wonder if that sold more games. Probably did. Definitely the controversy did.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Blizzard.
I mean, look at Lara Croft from 1996 and then look at her now. Very different, aren't they?
I don't know what you're saying, actually. I don't know if you're trying to say she's more or less sexy. I'll be honest.
She's way less.
Yes.
Now, that's not a bad thing to the character because she's still very attractive, but she's also a lot more hardened, and she definitely wears a lot more clothes and not as pointy anymore, but that's mostly a polygon type of thing.
A pixelated, thing.
You know, those type of things have changed, but I didn't have a problem with it because I didn't think of that when I saw the pose for the first time, and I was reading that article about it like a week ago. I was like, wait, what's the controversy really about? What about that person? What about that person? How come no one's saying anything about Zangief, who only wears basically underwear and shows everything. Like, you can see everything on Zangief's body, practically. Nobody bats a damn eye. It's a double standard. Because Zangief can be badass and he can be sexy, too. So can Tracer.
I agree.
And my main problem with it, and, you know, I do sympathize. There are people... I understand who want, like, super strong female characters who aren't seen as sexual objects and everything. I understand, like, where they're coming from, and I think that's cool, too. I want more characters like that as well. But developers should be able to make what they want without compromise. They shouldn't have to deal with this type of bullshit.
Well, you say that, and I agree overall, but culture, times, things influence things. If anything, we're all influenced by everything. This podcast doesn't really have... it has our original thoughts, but in some way we are nothing but responding to things that we have experienced.
Basically.
So that, in that sense, that developers are going to make the games they want, but they are responding by their own experiences through life and culture that they're in. Like, that's why the shit that comes out of Japan is so different than the shit that comes out of America.
That's for damn sure.
So
this is not a problem for them.
Yeah, well, this is a different
perspective. But it's a cultural barrier, too.
Yeah, but at the same time, hopefully... Man, we've talked about this before. There's no barrier to entry on the internet.
Yeah.
You could be getting cursed out by a 12-year-old and not even know it.
Yeah.
And it could affect you like your best friend said it to you if you're not careful, because you just don't have the perspective on it. You don't hear tone, you don't hear emotion, you don't hear intent. So what was that story I heard recently of, there was a college, I don't remember the specifics, but there was a college where a white female wanted to now be called a male, and then she wanted to become the president of the diversity club at her college, but then the black student club protested that a white male was now the president of the diversity club. It's like the progressive left is eating itself. You know, it's like, what is happening?
You can't win with any of this shit. Like I said, I think Tracer should be able to show rebut, no problem. But then you got games like this old PC game is called Baldur's Gate. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Baldur's Gate? Like just balling?
No, Baldur's.
Just balling?
Not Baldur's Gate. Shot calling gate. 20 years played. Baldur's Gate is this game that came out like 17 years ago, and they just released an expansion for it on Steam, and one of the things they included in the expansion is a transgendered character. And the transgendered character is simply defined by the fact that it's transgendered. Now...
Like Viper?
Like what?
Viper? Or what was that pink-haired character in...
Oh, you mean from Street Fighter?
Yeah.
You mean Poison?
Oh, Poison, yeah.
And that's mostly just implied.
Oh, okay.
We don't know yet. I still consider Poison a chick, but you never friggin' know. But that's the thing. It's like, it's confliction, because it's like, I think that a developer should be able to do what they want. Like, I think Blizzard should be able to show Tracer's butt. I think the guys who worked on Baldur's Gate should be able to include this character, but it's also a character who's been shoehorned in just for the sake of being progressive. And people complained about that. So it's like, you can't win, but you can't lose either. You just have to be stuck in the middle in the shitstorm.
I just don't have an opinion most of the time.
Yeah.
I just experience things and just keep my head low and keep going. But yeah.
But like you said, things are always changing. If I can quote one of the greatest country singers of all time, Tracy Lawrence, one of his songs, which is called "Time Marches On," he said, "The only thing that stays the same is that everything changes."
You know, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Unless you look at the back of the box, which tells you where everything is.
Well, that's cheating, and there's no back of the box in real life.
No.
And on that note, guys, we're going to get out of here. Corey, take us out with our sponsor.
All right, guys, thank you for listening today. We really appreciate it. Before we move on, I just want to take a moment to thank our network, Rogue Intel. Rogue Intel gives us the ability to speak our minds and be ourselves, which is really awesome. So make sure to check out their other shows. That's at rogueintel.com. And if you want to help keep the network going, head over to rogueintel.com/Amazon for all of your shopping needs. It's not going to cost you anything extra, and a portion of your total will go towards the Rogue Intel network, which is awesome. And like I said, guys, check out their network. They have a lot of really great shows, and they really help us out on distributing our show as well. And we're moving forward into the episode 50s of our podcast. We're going to bring back awkward imager reading in the Imager, whatever you want to call it. We're going to bring it back for the next episode because we know you guys have been requesting that. We have a lot of crazy things going on in the spring anime season, which I want to talk about next time because the shows haven't even all premiered yet. So lots of stuff coming down the pipeline. Make sure to leave us your suggestions on what topics you guys would like us to talk about. There are, of course, a lot of big new movies that are coming out. Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and even more down the pipeline. So stay tuned for that. So thank you guys again for listening, and that's it for the podcast.
Okay, guys, thank you for listening. We always appreciate everything you guys do and say, and please leave us comments, give us suggestions, except, why isn't there video in this podcast?
Yeah.
We're very aware of that, guys.
Yeah, sometimes it's just not there. And make sure to tell us what you guys thought of Batman versus Superman. Give us your honest thoughts and opinions in the comment section below.
So until next time, the Powerful Nerdcast is out.